Neoconservatism casts a long shadow on American foreign policy. This ideology has shaped the nation's approach to the world for decades, influencing decisions that have had far-reaching consequences. With its roots deeply embedded in the Cold War era, neoconservatism promotes a doctrine of aggressive interventionism. It emerged as a response to the perceived threats of communism, advocating for a strong military presence and proactive measures to counter any potential adversaries. Neoconservatives firmly believe in the necessity of American military dominance. They argue that a powerful military is essential not just for defense, but for maintaining global order and spreading democratic values. To them, the world is akin to a chessboard, where strategic moves and calculated risks are necessary to secure national interests. Every conflict, every alliance is a move in a grand game of geopolitical strategy. They are willing to use force to achieve their goals, believing that military intervention is often the most effective way to address international issues. Their influence is undeniable, shaping policies and decisions at the highest levels of government. We see it in the halls of power where decisions about war and peace are made. The corridors of the Capitol and the Pentagon echo with the voices of those who advocate for a strong interventionist stance. We hear it in the rhetoric of war, in speeches that emphasize strength and resolve, in news reports that frame conflicts in terms of good versus evil. We feel it in the consequences of their actions, in the devastation left behind by wars, in the lives disrupted and the families displaced. Neoconservatism's legacy is one of conflict. It has led to numerous military engagements, each justified by the need to protect national security and promote democracy. From Iraq to Afghanistan, their policies have led to devastating wars. These conflicts have not only caused immense suffering, but have also destabilized entire regions, creating power vacuums and breeding grounds for extremism. These wars were often sold to the public on false pretenses, with promises of quick victories and minimal casualties. The reality, however, has been far different. They were fueled by fear and misinformation, with exaggerated threats and manipulated intelligence used to justify military action. The narrative of weapons of mass destruction in Iraq is a prime example of this. The human cost is immeasurable. Countless lives have been lost, and many more have been forever changed by the horrors of war. The scars left on soldiers and civilians alike are a stark reminder of the true price of conflict. The financial cost is staggering. Trillions of dollars have been spent on wars and military operations, money that could have been used to address pressing domestic issues like healthcare, education, and infrastructure. Yet, the neoconservatives remain undeterred. They continue to advocate for a robust military presence and are always ready to support new interventions, believing that American leadership is essential for global stability. They continue to push for more war, more intervention, more conflict. Their vision of a world shaped by American power and influence drives their relentless pursuit of military solutions, often at the expense of diplomacy and peaceful resolution. The echoes of past wars still resonate deeply within our collective memory. The sacrifices made, the lives lost, and the destruction wrought are not easily forgotten. These echoes reverberate in the halls of power, influencing decisions and shaping policies. Neoconservatives once again are beating the drums of war. Their target, Iran. They speak with conviction, rallying support for their cause. They paint a picture of an existential threat, a looming danger that must be addressed with urgency. In their narrative, they demonize the Iranian people, portraying them as the enemy. They ignore the complexities of the region, the rich tapestry of cultures, histories, and politics that define it. Their motives are clear. They seek regime change. They desire control over resources, the lifeblood of economies and nations. They crave influence and dominance, a position of power on the global stage. The ghosts of Iraq and Afghanistan haunt us, reminding us of the cost of such ambitions. We must not forget the lessons of these wars, the human toll, the moral and ethical implications. They were based on lies, misinformation that led to unnecessary conflict. They were driven by greed, the pursuit of wealth and power at the expense of human lives. They resulted in chaos and instability, displacing millions and sowing seeds of resentment. We must learn from our mistakes, educate ourselves and future generations about the true cost of war. We cannot afford to repeat them. The world is watching, scrutinizing our actions and decisions. Our credibility is at stake, our reputation as a nation that values peace and justice. Our humanity is at stake. We must choose a path of diplomacy, understanding and compassion. The future depends on the choices we make today. Tragedy strikes. Innocent lives are lost. The world mourns, and the neoconservatives see an opportunity. They exploit tragedy for their own agenda. They use fear and anger to manipulate public opinion. They silence dissenting voices. They demand action. They call for war. Their hypocrisy knows no bounds. They shed crocodile tears for the victims. Yet they are the architects of the very policies that create these tragedies. They profit from war. They benefit from instability. They thrive on chaos. We must not be fooled by their rhetoric. We must see through their lies. We must reject their calls for war. War is a blunt instrument, it is a last resort, yet the neoconservatives see it as a first option. They fail to grasp the true costs of conflict. The human cost is immeasurable, lives lost, families torn apart, generations traumatized. The financial cost is staggering. Trillions of dollars wasted, economies crippled, societies burdened with debt. The environmental cost is devastating. Polluted air and water, toxic wastelands, climate change exacerbated. The moral cost is incalculable. Erosion of values, loss of innocence, betrayal of trust. War is a lose-lose proposition. There are no winners, only victims. Section 5. Rejecting the path to war. The path to war is paved with good intentions. It is also paved with lies, deceit and manipulation. We must reject this path. We must choose a different course. We must demand better from our leaders. We must hold them accountable for their actions. We must challenge the narrative. We must question the motives. We must expose the lies. We must not be silenced. We must not be intimidated. We must not be complicit. The future of our planet depends on it. The future of humanity depends on it. Section 6. Diplomacy, the only viable path. Diplomacy is not a sign of weakness, it is a sign of strength. It requires courage, it demands patience, it necessitates compromise. Diplomacy is the only viable path to peace. It is the only way to resolve conflict without resorting to violence. We must engage in dialogue, we must listen to one another, we must seek common ground, we must build bridges of understanding, we must find peaceful solutions. Diplomacy is not easy. It is hard work, but it is the only way forward. Section 7. The price of blind allegiance. Blind allegiance to any ideology is dangerous. It leads to dogma, it stifles dissent, it prevents critical thinking. We must be wary of those who demand unquestioning loyalty. We must be skeptical of those who claim to have all the answers. We must think for ourselves. We must question authority. We must challenge the status quo. Blind allegiance leads to groupthink. It creates echo chambers. It shuts down debate. We must break free from the shackles of blind allegiance. We must embrace critical thinking. We must demand accountability. Section 8. Amplifying voices of reason. In a world saturated with noise, the voices of reason are often drowned out. Amidst the cacophony of daily life, where everyone is vying for attention, it becomes increasingly difficult to hear the voices that truly matter. These voices, often soft-spoken and thoughtful, are the ones that can guide us towards a more peaceful and just society. We must amplify these voices. We must give them a platform. It is our responsibility to ensure that their messages are not lost in the dim. By providing them with the space and the audience they deserve, we can help spread their wisdom and insights far and wide. We must listen to their message. There are many voices speaking out against war. These voices are not just protesting for the sake of it, they are advocating for a future where conflicts are resolved through dialogue and understanding rather than violence. They remind us of the human cost of war and the importance of striving for peace. They come from all walks of life. They represent diverse perspectives. They are diplomats, they are activists, they are veterans, they are mothers, they are fathers, they are students, they are teachers, they are artists, they are writers, they are musicians. Each of these individuals brings a unique viewpoint and a wealth of experience to the table. Their collective wisdom is invaluable in our quest for a more harmonious world. They are all united in their belief that war is not the answer. Despite their different backgrounds and experiences, they share a common goal: to promote peace and understanding. Their unity is a powerful testament to the strength of their convictions and the possibility of a world without war. We must heed their call. Their messages are not just words, they are calls to action. They urge us to reflect on our own beliefs and actions, to consider the impact of our choices on the world around us. By listening to them, we can learn to be more compassionate, more understanding, and more committed to the cause of peace. We must join their ranks. It is not enough to simply listen, we must also act. By standing with them, by participating in their efforts, we can help to amplify their voices even further. Together we can create a chorus of reason that cannot be ignored. We must amplify their voices. In doing so, we ensure that their messages of peace, justice, and understanding reach as many people as possible. By amplifying their voices, we help to create a world where reason prevails over chaos, and where the voices of the many can lead us towards a brighter future. Section 9. A call for peace and accountability. We, the people of the world, demand peace. We demand an end to war. We demand accountability for those who profit from conflict. We demand a world where diplomacy prevails. We demand a world where reason triumphs over fear. We demand a world where peace is not just a dream, but a reality. We are many, they are few. We have the power to create the world we want to live in. Let us choose peace. Let us choose diplomacy. Let us choose humanity. Let us build a better future for ourselves and for generations to come.